Hey, welcome. My name is Mike Bankhead. I am your host. I am a bass player and songwriter from Dayton, Ohio. My guest today is a dear friend of mine who I have known for over 20 years and who I love very much. Do not be afraid to tell your friends you love them, people. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that you will find our conversation to be interesting and amusing, and by the time it is over, you will love her too. This is Ruth Fawcett. Hello there, Ruth.
Hi, Mike.
Now, we talk almost every week, but we do not record these conversations.
The first one that's being recorded. Are you feeling the pressure?
No, I do this all the time. How about you?
Yeah, I'll be all right, I think. I'll get used to it. I have done one podcast before. So
with a Canadian, I believe.
With a very, very talented Canadian, yes.
Your accent's different than mine. Where are you from?
I am from Ipswich in a county called Suffolk in the east of England.
That's far from here.
It is away, isn't it? You wouldn't get there in a day,
Not
on
swimming.
foot, anyway.
Yeah, definitely not swimming or boating. In a plane, one could probably be there in 6 or 7 hours, though.
Yeah. So near and yet so far, as people have basically not been flying anywhere for a long time.
But I think we're back to flying.
Hopefully so, because our little project has taken a bit of a knock, hasn't it? Because of the limits to travel. So
we're going to get to that later. You brought that up too soon.
Oh, okay.
We have
You're
to
leading
space
in.
out. Yes, we have to space out the subject matter. How about you tell the listeners how we met from your perspective, if you remember, because it was so long ago.
It was a while ago, over 20 years ago now. So I was at the time living in France. I decided to take a little adventure. So I wound up in the suburbs of Paris, and we have a mutual friend, a gentleman called Greg, and I use the word gentleman advisedly because he is indeed a gentleman. He liked to get some friends together to have a few cocktails on a Friday every now and then, and we happened to turn up at TGI Friday on the Boulevard Montmartre, and there I was with my Australian cousin who was visiting me, and happy to see an English speaker. I think we both were.
Like a drop of water in the desert.
Yes.
Which is funny because both of us speak French. Well, you might have forgotten, but at one point you spoke French.
I spoke relatively well. I could get by. My grammar has always been terrible in French. And yes, the dust is settling on those important words in my vocabulary. So I don't know how good I'd be at it now, but never mind.
So we met in Paris.
We met in Paris. We did.
I should clarify that was actually the first time I'd met Greg.
Oh.
As well. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I was brought with friends who were friends of his. So.
Okay.
Greg, who, as you mentioned, is a gentleman, knows a lot of people.
Yes, he is a gentleman, indeed. He and another friend of my brother-in-law, who is French for the benefit of the listeners, and his name was Bruno. Greg and Bruno were absolute gentlemen when we went out. They always used to take me as far as they could on the train, almost escorting me home, like, chivalrous gents, which was good because you could get a few undesirables late at night on the trains. And being a redhead in France, I stood out and got a fair amount of unwanted attention. Not loads, but enough to kind of get a little bit fed up with it. So they were great. They were my little protectors.
I like how you say little because Greg is by no definition little.
No, I meant little, less in the diminutive form, but more in the endearing.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So even though we've known each other 20 years, we have actually been within arm's length of each other exactly 3 times.
Yes.
The one time in Paris, the one time when you went on vacation in the American desert.
Mm-hmm.
Before I go to the third one, talk about that trip. If you can eliminate names to protect other people you want and edit the story, but...
Well, no, I mean, I went on a trip to Arizona. The reason being that my friends who wanted to take the trip had good friends who were living in Tucson at the time. And we were very kindly put up by a few people and did the whole, wow, look at the Grand Canyon, kind of, look at all this beautiful, look at this other canyon that is equally as pretty, just not as huge. Oh, look at that other canyon over there. There are lots of canyons.
I have to take your word for that because I have not seen any of them.
No, I know. This is an astounding fact, Mike, considering you were at one point in the neighbouring state, were you not?
Texas is the neighboring state to a lot of things. And it's actually the state beyond the neighboring state.
So I'm guessing you weren't really on the western side then.
I lived in West Texas.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing, and this is something that Brits and Europeans don't get. The United States is big. Like vast.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we kind of think that going to Scotland represents a major trip because that will take you 8 hours. You know.
I mean, it takes 15 to drive across Texas.
Yeah, and we're in a whole other country, you know? Yeah, I can understand why lots of Americans don't really travel outside of their own continent because it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And has everything one would want to see, I guess, to some degree.
I mean, we don't have an Eiffel Tower.
No, but you have the mountains and the beaches and all of the different kinds of scenery one would like.
I guess.
France is a bit like that. You know, France has everything, which explains why the French are the way they are.
I'm going to let that one go. So I was living in West Texas at the time, and when you told me that you were coming to something that is taking the term my neighborhood very loosely, but, you know, within a few hundred miles of where I happen to be.
Yes.
I ran over and hung out with you guys for a couple of days. That was fun. We went to Mexico, walked across the border, something that I don't think they let you do anymore.
Okay.
That was in Nogales, which Mexico is a beautiful country, by the way, just not the part that you saw. That desert part's not pretty.
No, I did take another trip to Mexico on that visit to Rocky Point, which was much more picturesque, let's say. And well, yes, it was just a tourist resort, wasn't it? So you don't get any of the unpleasant realities of life in tourist resorts too much, do you?
Usually not unless the narcotraficantes are really trying to make a point. But they generally leave the tourist resorts alone. And then I went into Nottingham. That's how you pronounce it, right? Nottingham?
Nottingham, yes.
Yes, I went to Nottingham for my corporate job, which I don't have anymore. And that is on the same very small island on which you live.
But still a few hundred miles.
Oh, yeah. And you and your husband were kind enough to come up and spend the day with my wife and I in Nottingham. Yes.
We felt that it would be easier for us to do that than for you to try and navigate your way down to Ipswich in a foreign country.
I thank you, because one, your country is very foreign. Y'all drive on the wrong side of the road.
I'll let that one go. Yes.
We also know that you spell words with extraneous letters, but that's a different topic for another time. Yeah, that was fun. Nottingham's a charming little town, and I would love to go back and visit again someday.
Yes. Yeah, it has its sort of darker side of town, which we did, I think, stumble into accidentally, didn't we? And then kind of, I think we wandered into a rather sad-looking area and wandered back out of it again.
It might have been sad, but I don't think it was, what's your word for it? Dodgy.
No. Well, it depends on what terms we are talking. My version of dodgy is not the same as your version of dodgy, I imagine, mainly because we have much less gun crime.
Right.
Yeah.
You do.
Yes.
This is an undeniable fact of life.
Mainly because you can't just get a gun, you know?
What do you mean you can't just get a gun?
There are laws, you know. There are you can't just go down to Walmart and buy a gun.
Well, I mean, my neighbors would say that means that you're not truly free.
Indeed, yeah. What a debate that is.
Oh, I'm not debating it. I'm just making fun of those people.
Yes. Last time I checked, I thought I was free, and I don't own a gun, so yeah.
So, why do we talk almost every week, Ruth?
We talk almost every week because we are in the middle of a project.
It's not because we're friends?
Well, we talk every week because of the project. That was the reason we started talking every week. But we are friends, and we talk about other stuff apart from this project. So yeah, but the main reason this whole weekly Zoom session started was our project, was it not?
It was. What's our project called? I forget.
It's called We Met in Paris, because we did.
Right. It worked because it's true.
Yes.
And what sort of project is this?
Well, you and I sort of stumbled into finding out that I might be able to write songs. The reason we did this was because you were discussing with me a song that you had written that you didn't like the words to, or the melody. You had a set of chords and you'd recorded the backing track, but you did not like the top line. I now know that that's called the top line. I didn't back then. And I said, well, send it my way. I wrote a song once when I was in France. I might have something there. You never know. They say everyone has one good song within them. So I took it and I researched the place you had written about. And I was intrigued. And I guess I was inspired because I wrote a top line and recorded it for you. And it was not bad.
Well, that's selling yourself short a little bit, I think.
Well, I think I surprised myself that I could do it. But as it happens, it ignited a little spark that I did not realise would be there, and that was to be a songwriter in whatever capacity.
I might have been a little pushy getting you to write more songs.
Oh, you're always pushy, Mike. But you need to be, because I would not drive this project.
Which is too bad, because I think of the two of us, you have a better handle on melody.
Perhaps. But yes, I didn't really have the confidence back then to believe that I could write regularly. And on a very few occasions, prolifically, I have had mini spells where songs have just fallen out in about 10 minutes and work.
There are some songwriters that say those are the best ones. I don't know that I agree with them, but I've heard that on more than one occasion. And now you have written, dare I say, dozens and dozens of songs.
Yes, albeit some are not complete. Some are, as we like to call it, half-baked, and sitting in folders waiting for the next spark of inspiration to finish them off, or maybe, but later be looked at and decide that they really don't deserve to be made into songs at all.
All right, so since you are technically a professional songwriter now, meaning that at some point you have exchanged a song for money or other consideration that makes you a professional.
Yes.
And you, having listened to my podcast, know that I like to ask songwriters about their process. So, Ruth, tell me about your process.
My process. Is
it process over there?
It's process, yes.
I guess that makes sense. You're a professional, so you should have a process.
Indeed, that is a very good point. My process has been an organic kind of beast. You and I are quite different in our processes because I tend to write lyrics first. I have ideas, and that side of it is probably partly a therapy to some degree. I suffer with anxiety and depression, so
don't we all?
Yes, pretty much these days. So I can use that avenue as an outlet when I need to, and they can be sparked by real whole situations or just small circumstances or small feelings that I need to write down, and then they can grow from that. Whether or not they are actually a blow-by-blow account of me and my life is a good question, because a lot of it maybe has a spark of an element of truth in something that I feel or have been through, but most then move on to become something a little bit more generic, I suppose. Something that can be related to by the audience without necessarily being too niche. Like I wouldn't write a song about my love for my dog called Lincoln, even though I love him, because not everybody has a dog and not everybody relates to the fact that, my dog is the most wonderful dog in the world. So, you have to widen out your lyrics to include perhaps the love of all animals or the love of a person, and then it becomes relatable.
That's interesting. I would counter that by telling you that one of my favorite bands wrote a song called Heel, which is about the lead singer's dog. But it was written in such a way that it sounds like it's about a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to send that to you later.
I'd be interested to hear it. But yes, this is what you have to try and capture, I guess, if you want a wide audience, or if you want to write in different genre. I think you have to know your audience and know what it is that they want to hear. I don't necessarily mean that you write for your audience. I think primarily we all write for ourselves first.
You should, or what you're writing's going to lack authenticity, and anyone who listens to music worth their salt will see right through that.
Of course, yeah. But then you do need it to be relatable to an audience. So yeah, that's my process usually, is to write lyrics and say, does this go further? Is this just like journaling for me? Is it journaling to kind of clear my head, or could it be something that people would relate to and want to listen to? And then I sometimes send my early formed lyrics to you, but then they often get heavily marked.
Why do you think that is?
Because they are early drafts, and you hone your lyrics much more before I see them. So yeah, but then again, we're very different, aren't we, in our writing?
Who would you consider to be your major influences, either from Well, this is going to probably cover lots of ground. So let's say influences on your lyrics or influences on the sounds you are making with the guitar, the way you approach melody and composition. Talk about that.
I don't know that I'm very conscious of particular people who I know have influenced my writing. However, I will say that one song that I wrote, well, it's not quite done, but it had a kind of sort of 70s vibe to it. Actually, more than one person said that sounds like a Sheryl Crow song. And growing up in the 90s, Sheryl Crow was my favourite artist, full stop. She was the person that I kind of felt like, you know, you go through that sort of teenage phase where you think this person understands exactly what's going through my head. So it was really her that shaped my go-to style, I think. I admire her ability to storytell in her lyrics. She is very good at observing characters and creating characters that come to life in a song. The most obvious one that comes to mind is All I Want to Do, which is talking about the Santa Monica Boulevard and the goings on down the road. You know, she's sitting in a bar. She's describing the people in the bar. She's describing the people outside, going about their day-to-day life. And I think that it creates such a vivid image that you feel like you're there with her in that bar, seeing all of those characters. So yeah, I mean, she was the major influence on me, I think. I would also say, though, a lot of my parents' music comes into play because I like the Rolling Stones and I like Fleetwood Mac. I like Bad Company and Free. So a lot of 70s rock and roll, I suppose, influenced me. The Beatles, we listened to a lot, but they also liked bands like U2 when they first came out with the Joshua Tree album, which sort of launched them into international recognition, I think. And I do see little elements of all of those kind of bands when I write. Elements of, I guess, if I mean, I don't really sit and look at my lyrics and say, oh, I wonder what style I'm writing in, but I think all of those bands are massively important to my musical upbringing and my musical education. So I am sure that I am influenced in those ways.
How does it feel to be the best redheaded songwriter in Ipswich?
It's a good job Ed Sheeran doesn't actually technically live in Ipswich, isn't it? Because I don't think...
Who?
I could...
Who now?
Ed Sheeran. He lives in a little town called Framlingham, which is about half an hour away from here. But he became famous through the pub circuits in Ipswich and its surrounds. So arguably, I win maybe on geography, but I don't think I don't think I'm any match for Ed Sheeran's prolific nature. Anyway,
you wrote a song about being angry at me, and I happen to like that one. You should tell about that song. I was getting on your nerves, especially a lot at some. Because I get on your nerves all the time. Let's be honest.
Not all of the time. I actually quite like you most of the time. I think the difference is that you are very you are plain talking, so you don't sugarcoat things necessarily when you don't feel the need to. And I was having a bad mental health day at the time, and I was texting you saying I was feeling pretty rubbish, and you said, "Yeah, go write a song. Go write a song about it." And yeah, I got a little bit annoyed with that rather obvious brush off. So I thought, do you know what? I am going to go and write a song about it, and I'm going to get quite angry in this song. I mean, really, what we did was just bickering, and, you know, all good friends bicker from time to time. So yeah, this song is called Leave Me Alone. And yeah, I'm actually about to have the drum tracking done for that song with a very, very talented drummer called Kellii Scott. So I'm waiting to have that back and start on the demo.
Cool. I think that needs to end up on the record.
I think it probably does, just because it's kind of funny that I wrote it about us getting cross with you. Well, me getting cross with you. You don't really get cross with me, do you?
No.
Frustrated, maybe?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I am a bit flaky.
A little bit. Somebody just rang your doorbell.
They did. Thankfully, my dog does not bark when the doorbell goes. And
How about Paul? He doesn't bark either, I guess.
No, he doesn't bark. No, he's quite quiet. He's quite good, really. He's quite a good house guest. I say house guest, you know. We're married, and he's been living with me for 16 years, so
permanent
more than a house guest. Yeah, he's sort of moved in. I think he earns squatters' rights there. I'll keep him. I've decided.
That's good.
Yeah. So yes, we are in the process of working out which songs are going to go on this album of ours. Even though I think that changes probably quite regularly, and I'm trying to keep up with your recording schedule, because you are very motivated and driven when it comes to your music, and I am not the sort of person who would have the words motivated and driven put on my gravestone.
We should find a way to find something that motivates and or drives you other than Lincoln.
Yes, that is a search that I've been on for a while. How to become motivated and driven when it's not in my makeup to be naturally so. And I did not really, well, I did know this. I knew this as a teenager, but when you're a teenager, nobody's really motivated or driven, are they? They kind of just mooch. And I was in a job for about 15 years, which was incredibly structured. It had to be. It was for a sports club, so fixtures had to be honoured, things had to be done, and it was so regulated.
You might have to define fixtures for the American audience.
Oh, okay, fixtures. So I worked for a English football team or soccer team, and they play in a league that was at the time just below the Premier League, so the second league in English football. And I mean by fixtures, I mean the games that they play. So a club like
games.
Ipswich versus Leicester, for example, is a fixture.
Leicester sounds like a person's name. L-E-S-T-E-R,
yes.
Leicester.
Yes, although it is spelled Leicester. So, it's one of our lovely, like your Arkansas.
Tragically,
we don't want to say it.
Tragically spelled and pronounced.
Yes.
By the way, it's definitely not my Arkansas. I'm a Midwesterner.
Oh, I know. You are not in any way an Arkansasian. Is that a word?
I think it's Arkansan, perhaps.
Oh, Arkansan. Yeah, that would make sense. As it is Kansas at the end of it.
Yes. I see, when you say fixture to an American, we think about furniture or devices that hold
fixtures and fittings.
Yeah, devices that hold electronic lights. So I just wanted to clarify, when you're using foreign vocabulary.
Yes, well, please do. I don't want our audience to be baffled.
No, baffling is bad.
Yes, but it's also a great word, baffle.
It is, and I have actually... It
has a nice sound to it.
It does. I've used it in a song, but I don't know that I've sent you that song, because it's not an us song, it's a me song. So.
Ah, okay. I don't have these distinctions.
You don't?
Why not? No, I don't know that I've written any songs that I've thought, oh no, that's definitely a me song and not an us song. Perhaps that's because you have the hindsight of having written 2 and recorded 2 albums, and you know very much what is a you song. And I just write, and if it's good enough and you like it and you want it to be on the album, then I'm kind of like, hey, yeah.
Well, part of it is you are the vocalist in our project, and so when I write something, I have to imagine it with your voice singing it. And if I don't think you can sell it, or if it's too American.
Yes, that's been a little bit of a teething issue, hasn't it, with our writing? Because I wrote a song which I really liked. I was really pleased with, and you said, no, that's way too British. Nobody over here will get what you're going on about. So that also is a consideration. Any sort of observational writing, a la Sheryl Crow, has to be relatable to the American audience.
I mean, I guess I could try to write for Brits. Hang on, let me and you could try to write for us a song about the bonnet in me lorry.
Yeah. See, that was a word in this song, wasn't it? On polishing the bonnet. Which probably to you get an image of, these Edwardian ladies with bonnets on their heads and polishing them in some strange way.
Either that,
and I have no idea why we call it a bonnet, but we do. But then you call it a hood, so both items of clothing.
Yes.
Both headwear.
Both headwear.
Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, that has been. And also, you like to go into the shared documents that I have and change all of my British spellings to American spellings, don't you?
You mean I like to correct them, I believe. You wrote a song about that, and I think it's genius, by the way.
Yeah. Yes, superfluous you. Are you talking about? Yeah. Well, yeah, that one's. That didn't make the shortlist, did it?
It needs to.
That might.
If we didn't put it on the shortlist, it might need some surgery.
Yes, I think it does need surgery. That was one of my early demos, and my early demos were not particularly good.
The U in surgery, by the way, absolutely necessary. That one needs to stay.
Yes. It's the only vowel in that word.
No, there's an E in surgery. Well, I mean, there is in the United States. There might not be for you.
Yeah, I think there might be. I was thinking it was two U's. Surgery. Right. No, there's definitely an E in that, isn't there? Excellent. I'm glad I'm coming across as super intelligent, which is exactly the image I wanted to put across on this podcast.
Well, I mean, the good thing is I only have about 12 listeners, so one, I don't know that most people over here are all too familiar with a lot of British people other than the ones that are on television. So Ozzy Osbourne, for example, and you definitely come off sounding a lot more coherent than him.
That's an excellent benchmark.
I feel like you've said a lot of intelligent things.
Oh, good. I have no idea what I've said, to be honest. I'm just rambling.
Are you having like a Jack and Coke? Is that why you forgot?
No. I just have issues with my concentration levels.
Got it. Hey, so Ruth, what did your childhood smell like? Hat tip to Izzy Rock.
I'm so glad that I thought about this question beforehand. I keep hearing you asking that question to all of your what do you call it, interviewees?
Not all, just a very select few. Because it's not my question, but
I was thinking about this a lot. I think my childhood smelt of homemade pizzas after coming home from football matches. That's definitely one. The smell of the dough kind of rising by the fire. Also, the smell of, the burning sort of dust smell you get when you turn on a heater that you haven't used for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is a distinct childhood smell because we didn't get central heating in our house until I was in my teens. And I would remember scraping ice off the windows inside on a cold day because the one heater was positioned in the bathroom to
Don't you mean the loo? I do that just to make you laugh.
Yeah. In the bathroom. In the room with the bath in it, the bathroom. It was in there so that we all actually could stand to get up and go and have a shower in the morning. Yes, and that would be a smell that would sort of appear in the house at about sort of September time when the nights started getting a little bit colder. So I guess homemade pizzas, dough cooking, dough rising, the smell of the yeast of the dough, and dusty heaters.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to drop a song into this podcast so that people can get like a little taste of what we've been cooking up?
Well, one of our more advanced demos. You mean?
I mean, it doesn't have to be. I'm letting you choose. First of all, you get to choose whether we do it, and then second of all, if we decide to do it, you get to choose a song.
Okay. Well, I think we could do a little snippet, couldn't we? Without revealing all.
All right. What would you like me to drop into the track?
Don't know, really. Maybe Culpability could go in there. A little snippet of that.
All right. How long, how many seconds of Culpability do you want me to drop into the track?
Should I just shout a number? I don't know.
I mean, you don't have to shout.
Oh, okay. I could just say a number. 20 seconds? 30 seconds? Something like that? Yeah.
Hey, listener, here's 20 seconds or 30 seconds of Culpability.
You have your head in the sand. Stop wishing you went, 'cause I'm not going anywhere. It's coming.
All right, Ruth. The listeners have heard Culpability, or at least what you have decided they will hear of it. What do you think they thought?
I think I hope they appreciated the excellent drumming skills of Kellii Scott. I did not give him any remit other than to just listen to what I'd done and go his own way with it, because I'm not a drum arranger. And he did a rather impressive job, I thought.
That's what he does.
Yeah. So, and actually, having started to use his services from time to time, I have actually educated myself into his band and have discovered an excellent band that I didn't know existed. And I think your listeners would do well to listen to anything by Failure, really.
They certainly would. I might have to link to their website in the show notes.
Yeah. That would be worth it. They are embarking on a tour soon, I think.
They are. I have tickets to go see them in Philadelphia, which is in Pennsylvania.
Yes, not Transylvania.
No,
Pennsylvania.
Transylvania is not close to here.
Closer to me.
Much closer to you.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk to me about, or should I end this podcast? I mean, we have a lot to talk about. Let me rephrase. Is there anything else that you would like to talk to me about that you don't mind other people hearing?
Well, I guess we might discuss the timings of our project and when we plan to. I mean, I don't think we've really discussed a finite deadline, have we? We're just doing it as fast as we can. Do
you remember that part where you said that you're not motivated and you're flaky?
Yes, I do remember that.
That makes it very difficult to schedule a finite deadline.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? I realise I'm not being helpful.
You're really not.
Okay, so we met in Paris might actually end up we died waiting, you know.
Let's not make it that. We have too many good songs that people need to hear for us not to make a record.
I think so. I think we do. It would be epic if we could get something done by the end of this year, would it not?
That would be wonderful. I'm not counting on it, but I will work as hard as I can to make that happen.
Me too. Yeah, I'll just need a nudge every now and then.
So we have a website, but there's really nothing on it other than your picture.
Yes, and a very misleading picture at that. I think at the moment that was taken.
You look very nice.
Well, thank you, but that was some time ago, and I am the other side of lockdown now, which has, as we all know, implications on age and weight and other factors that come into play. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to work on my image, aren't I? Me
too. Or we could just be like Daft Punk and not let anyone see our faces or bodies. We could. Or they can only see photoshopped us. Or do like Sia and we can just wear. You can grow your hair, and I will grow mine, and we'll just wear it in front of our heads. Or be like the gorillas and just be cartoons.
Also, an excellent idea. At least then we could pick what we wanted to be.
Yeah,
I think I would probably be like something a bit along the lines of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, I think.
All right. I think I would like to be an anthropomorphic sloth.
A sloth, yes.
They're just so chill.
And they always have a smile on their face.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite of chill, so I would like to kind of,
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Like, if we're going with what Winnie the Pooh character are you, then I am Eeyore.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I am probably Tigger. Maybe Winnie the Pooh because I have so much interest in food.
Specifically honey?
No, not specifically honey, but I'm just thinking of Winnie's, delightfully pot belly and thinking, yeah, that's probably more accurate. Physically these days. Although Tigger definitely would be my inability to sit still. And concentrate.
I bet Tigger would make a record happen pretty fast, though. He's got all that energy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to channel my inner Tigger and try and get our record started sooner rather than later. How about that?
That sounds wonderful. Well, I mean, you definitely have some tasks that we've already discussed that you have assigned, and we'll work through those. And as I can, I will obviously offer all the help that I can offer you, as I am in the middle of tracking NEP and a couple singles coming up as well. But yeah, we'll also... Yes,
I'm still stuck in the middle of the one that has the time signature changes, which I probably should have left till the end.
No, you do it first. Do the hard one first. But you just power through it. You just got to power through it.
Okay. Understood.
Think how much easier those other ones will be once you finish that one, though.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, it was my fault that it's become this beast of a...
It really is. I wrote a song that was in 3/4. And
I changed it into...
Well, you wrote better music, and, I'm not too proud to acknowledge that you wrote better music, but you happened to write something in 5/4. Shame on you.
Yes, with the extra bar, at the end of 6/8 every now and then, just to really confuse people. Sorry, my printer is going off right now. I've not printed anything. That must be Paul.
Maybe this is his way of sending you a message without interrupting our chat.
Yeah.
Does it say feed me on it, or does it say get off the computer?
It's an invoice. How exciting.
Or hello Mike. That would also be pretty funny.
Yeah, that would. I don't think I don't think he's technically minded enough to know how to do that. But, but yeah, his strength is not in technology. His strength is in more practical, hands-on kind of things. Building and man jobs.
Like being a lumberjack?
Well, I don't know that he's ever been a lumberjack, but I'm sure he'd be good at it. He's that sort of person, He has that sort of, sort of manliness about him,
I think it's funny because you say a man job. So when I think of a man job, I think about sitting in front of a computer or like, making a nice salad. Those are the kind of jobs that I would be good at, but.
Well, thank goodness we're all so different.
Yeah, it'd be boring if everyone was the same, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
Hey, so where can my listeners find you on social media if you wanted to be found?
So I do have a Facebook music page. They can go to Ruth Fawcett Music on Facebook. That's as far as I've gone with it for now. That I have got SoundCloud as well. So some of my tunes are linked from SoundCloud to Facebook. Others are there to be discovered when you get there. So, check me out on SoundCloud or Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for letting me share our conversation with 12 other people.
Oh, well, they're very welcome. I feel like they're in my family.
Thanks again to Ruth for talking to me and letting me record it. Please keep your eyes and ears open for music from our project, We Met in Paris. We're going to bring that to you just as soon as we can. And thank you, dear listener, for being here with me on the podcast today. I encourage you to like, subscribe, leave comments and such wherever you listen to podcasts. It's something that is incredibly helpful for us podcasters. See you on the next one. Bye.